everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Angela Yvonne, and I am the host of Vegan Pop Eats, where we are changing the perception of veganism through conversation, cuisine, and conscious living. And we have the one and only Turnip Vegan, aka Todd. You want me to say your government name?
Hey, I don't mind. It's on my profile.
Anderson.
So.
How you doing? Oh my God. You have no idea. Like, I started watching you, I want to say, I started watching you like during COVID. And then I started watching just the way that you bring a vibrancy to this space is just so amazing. And I just want to tell you that what you're doing is really inspiring and motivating us to be better in this space.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I mean, I try not to get too emotional. Like, I feel like I'm detached from understanding that sometimes because I'm so always focused on what video I'm going to create next. And so, you know, to hear that just really moves my heart. And I really appreciate you allowing me to be on your platform and share my story.
When I saw you, it was almost like, you know, with Vegan Dale, I had in my mind, I was like, if I see anybody that I know, I have to. I mean, I knew you were coming, but I didn't know if we would run into each other because it was such a massive space. But when I saw you in person, I was like, oh my God, because I cook, but you cook. Like, you really make it seem like it's possible, because a lot of times when people are in this vegan space, they're just like, oh, I'm gonna miss out, the food tastes this, the food tastes this. But when they come across your platform, and the things that you do with mushrooms.
Ooh, I love me some mushrooms. Well, keep in mind, like I said, I'm blessed to be on your platform. Remember, I came and found you at New York. I came and found you and said, what's up? So all love here.
Oh, thank you so much. So what I like to do when we first begin is I like to hear about your journey, because everyone's journey is different coming to this space. Some people come because of the love of the animals. Some people come because of, you know, in the environment. And some people just come because they're just wanting something different from whatever that they've been doing. So tell us a little bit about who you are. How did you come to be in this space?
Good. Okay, cool. So, I mean, for those that don't know who I am, my real name is Todd Anderson. I go by Turnip Vegan. I am approaching my 6th year as a vegan, and it's just crazy when I say that. Like, I think back at the moment I had that I'm gonna share in a few minutes, and I never knew it took me on this journey, and I never knew that I would meet so many incredible people and how much it would change who I am as a person. And so a lot of people don't know this about me, but I used to produce music for a long time. I was in band. I used to play the drums and the French horn, and I was, you know, very into music. And so when I moved to California, that translated over to me producing music and, you know, starting a group in Palm Springs area. And so I did music for a good amount of my youth, and that actually led me to veganism. So when it comes to music and the scene I was in, there was a lot of, it was a toxic environment. And so I found myself drinking a lot. I found myself smoking. I found myself just, you know, not being a bad person, but doing bad things and going in the direction that I've seen a lot of people, you know, turn out wrong for a lot of people in my family, friends, and, you know, people I look up to. And so I'm in Vegas on a 3-day trip, and we have just an incredible time. I get back home to San Diego, and I had this hangover that started the day before, and it's basically carrying over to today, or to that day, November 16th to be exact. And so I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, God, I need to make a change. Like, this ain't cool. Like, you tearing your body down. You know exactly what you're doing. And so I pick up the remote and I'm like, all right, let me just see if I could find something on, you know, TV that can inspire me. I stumble on the documentary called Food Choices. And thank God it was called Food Choices, because if it was called Vegan this or Go Vegan or You Need to Do This, I might have folded and went to go look for something that made me feel more secure and more comfortable. And so I start this documentary, and a little ways through the documentary, one of the gentlemen said, we are the only species that drink milk from another species. And my brain just went boom. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's strange. Like, I don't drink milk from my mom anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I drinking milk that's made for, you know, baby calf to grow rapidly, filled with hormones? And so I finished the documentary, and by the end of the documentary, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this vegan lifestyle a try. And so I decided that day to go cold turkey. I thought I was going cold turkey because I was still eating certain things that have milk, unaware, just not educated in. But that day I decided to go cold turkey. And I always recommend to people, like, maybe this is not the right path for you. Or, everyone has their own direction of how to get there. But for me, that was the path for me because I've tried a lot of things in my life. And I say I'm going to start it, but I don't finish it. And so with this, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have discipline, and I'm going to, do what I could do to see just how I feel. So after about, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the process, I started getting a little hang of it. A funny story too is like, I was stressing about the vegan lifestyle. I'm like, what I'm going to eat? You know what I mean? I'm approaching 40 years old, and I'm like, yo, I've been eating this way my entire life. Like, how am I supposed to switch this up? So I was so scared, I went and bought a Ninja. I still have that Ninja to today. I went and bought a Ninja, one of the, bullets. And I
Yes.
If I can't find something to eat, if I can't cook something, I'm just going to juice and make smoothies all day long. So that was like my safety net. But anyway, I started the journey. 3 weeks in, I started to recognize changes, and, a lot of changes that we all talk about, like clarity, energy. But to me, it was just like something else was fueling me. And it was just like this power of knowing that, yo, you got control of what you do in your life. You got control of your discipline. And so that kind of spread it out through the rest of my life. But that's how my journey started. And yes, there's been mad phases through this journey. And I feel like I'm on a whole new phase right now. But yeah, that's how my journey started. And a cool thing too, and this is like, part of my approach is before I went vegan, 4 years ago, I had a friend that was cooking vegan food for me. I came home from work one day and they're like, oh, I made this vegan food. I'm like, what did you just do? In my head, I'm like, come on, like, that's not, I'm not vegan. That's not for me. But I'm a kind person, so I ate the food for the 3-4 days. And once that stopped, I went back to eating, my regular lifestyle.
Right.
But the seed was planted. The seed was planted. And so when I decided to go vegan, in the back of my head was kind of encouraging me, like, yo, you can do this. And so that's how my journey started. From there, like, so as soon as when I went vegan, the first thing I did was went online on social media, and I reached out to like all the dopest vegans in San Diego. Like,
wow.
The ones that were just extraordinary. One was this, his name is One Dope Vegan. You can look him up. This dude is probably in the best shape I've seen anybody, vegan or not. Met up with him, hung out with him. I met up with a gentleman that runs marathons that's vegan. And so I met with all these people, and I just started soaking up all this information to help convince myself that, yo, you don't need, meat for these other reasons. These people are thriving. And so that's how my journey started.
And your story is so powerful because, like I said before, when we are doing the different journeys, no one knows what it took for you to get there. And it's important for me to show that these journeys are not difficult. It's more of a mindset, and it's more of I'm sick and tired, or I want to prioritize me showing up as my best authentic self.
Right. Right.
And listening to your story, it's almost, I feel like all of our journeys are so similar because we always have an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know who David Goggins is. He's not a vegan, but his story was similar to yours because he was saying how he was sick and tired, and he turned on the TV, and his changing moment was I think he saw the Navy SEALs or something like that, and that inspired him to really like check himself and be like, okay, I want to be held accountable for how I'm showing up in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So with you, you're not a chef, and it's in your bio for everybody. You're not a chef.
Put it out there.
When I say, you make me feel like I could go into the kitchen and just do it. You really, truly do. And the way that your content is so vibrant, and the way you just invite us in, and almost, I don't know how many non-vegans that you have, but you make me just always want to tune in to whatever you got going on, because you just show such a love for this space. You don't make it difficult. Was that purposeful, or you just, you're just like, well, this is just me, and this is just how it just turned out?
100% with purpose. I really do my best to stay connected to who I was. So even though I'm a new person, I stay connected to how I used to think back then, because I knew if you approach me and be like, you should go vegan, or this is what you're doing wrong, you should do this, you know, it's human nature to kind of close up. And so I try to plant that seed that someone planted with me in different ways. And so I just want to show really beautiful food and really show the love for food to people. And I get so many comments every day like, yo, I'm not vegan at all, but I respect what you're doing. And if I do go vegan, I'll try your dish. So maybe that person may not go vegan this month or even 2 years, but they will have a moment, and maybe that'll be in the back of their pocket they can pull out and use that as inspiration and when they start their journey. So yeah, it's very purposeful when I create my videos to not be, you know, to not scare you away, but to make you feel like, yo, they having a good time, they eating good, they got flavor, they got, you know, taste and all that. And so yeah, that's my goal.
So walk us through how you became Turnip Vegan. Like, what was your thought process on the day that you were just like, you know what, I'm going to start creating content, and I don't care who's watching it, but I'm about to give y'all a production?
For sure. So I created Turnip Vegan page, or I transferred my personal page to Turnip Vegan, I think 2 weeks after I went vegan. And I remember the reason why I had my friends teasing me. You know, 6 years ago, it was very funny to make, you know, fun of someone that went vegan, especially someone that's Black. It don't look like someone that, you know, you typically see go vegan. And so I remember my friends teasing me like, what are you going to eat? Salad, rabbits? And, you know what I mean? The little typical jokes. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you what I eat. And so I always had, you know, a love for filming. Like I look back at some of the vlogs I used to create, like, you know, back in 2000, I was doing like in 2001, 2002, before it was even cool, just creating videos and wanting to just share. And so that's what it transferred to, me wanting to share the food and lifestyle. And I remember sitting home, I'm like, yo, I need a name. Like, I see all these cool vegans out here. And the two vegans that I found that gave me inspiration was Badass Vegan and Sweet Potato, which is both good friends of mine now, which is just.
She was one of the first ones that I started watching.
She definitely was someone that inspired me. And so I'm like, yo, I need a cool name. I knew one dope vegan. I was like, all right, how about Turnip Vegan? And my purpose behind it was double meaning, like turn up your health, turn up your consciousness, turn up, you know, the things that you're passionate for, but spell it, you know, turn up as a vegetable, you know. And so that's how the name came about. My first 3.5 years, I filmed for everybody else. I didn't make not one penny. Like, I didn't ask for anything. I didn't want nothing from anyone. I just was so happy to be in this space that I just like would hit up restaurants and be like, yo, can I come film for you? That ended up leading to me being able to go to Brazil. I went to Belém and went down the Amazon River and connected with tribes and climbed trees and picked fresh acai. I ended up going to Hong Kong. I ended up going to, you know, Costa Rica multiple times. And so this journey started taking me places, and there was no intent to, you know, make money or no intent to, it was just really just for my satisfaction and to learn as much as I could. So my first 3.5 years, I did nothing but film for people for free. Like, hit me up as soon as I get off work, I'll pull up, camera out, professional camera, like, what we trying to do? And so I did that for the first about 3.5 years. And then I moved downtown, San Diego, and to one of the high rises. And I remember going downstairs one day, there's a coffee shop, and they just had coffee. And somehow the conversation come up like, oh, we were thinking about adding vegan food. And so that is how Spoiled Vegans, for those that don't know, I am co-owner of a cafe that was in San Diego called Spoiled Vegans. We closed down about 10 months ago. I'll add more to that later. But that was the birth of my cafe that I created. Was like, they need a vegan option. I'm downtown. There's no breakfast. There's nothing. And so I went to the lab and just started working on, you know, Spoiled Vegans with my partner, Samantha. And so that took me down a whole nother journey of running the restaurant business for 2 years, which was just such an incredible experience. And I mean, right around the time we decided to shut down, like, I started seeing a lot of non-vegans come to the cafe and just be regulars and just be like, yo, I just want to eat vegan today, you know? And so it brought me so much satisfaction. And so right before, when the pandemic happened, we were only a pop-up, and we were doing events, you know, San Diego, we had events in LA. We were starting to book events in Arizona. I think we were working on Miami. Pandemic hit. I remember getting an email and losing every job that we had lined up for the whole year within a week span. So everything just gone. I'm just sitting there, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us experienced something like this. And so all of it's gone, and I'm just sitting at home, and I'm, bored one day, and I pull out the camera, and I made Tiki Masala, a vegan version. And that was like one of my favorite dishes, and one of the only things I learned how to cook as a vegan when I went vegan. And so I make this dish, and then when I'm done, I post it, and the video does decent, but I blew my mind, and it shocked me to see that, like, I was plating the plate pretty decent. The presentation was there. The way I cooked it was there. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how, where did I learn this from if I don't have no experience? And it was all that time, those 3.5 years I spent editing for people for free. So I plated, I don't know how much everyone caught, but, I found myself creating a recipe at home, bored with nothing to do. And so at the end, I plated it and posted online, and I recognized it did decent. And so that was the birth of what I do now, which was no intentions at all. And I just started spending that time during the pandemic, just creating while I was at home. And, where we're at 2.5 years later, this is where I'm at. And so that's why I always say I'm not a chef. I'm self-taught. I do have experience working at Art Cafe and creating recipes and creating sauces, but I want people to feel like anybody could do it, because really anybody can do it if you put your mind to it. Like I have a son right now. I got 2 granddaughters too, but I have a son that is 24 years old, and all I used to cook for him was microwave pizzas and
Right.
popcorn, just like things that that were not healthy. And so if I could do it, anybody could do it. And so that's my approach on why I say I'm not a chef. I just love vegan food.
Well, I say that you're a chef because the magic that you create, I just want to let you know that I am obsessed with your handheld juicer. Like every time you pull that out, I'm just like, I know that I've slid in your DMs or I've slid on your page talking about where you get that juicer.
For sure. That was just like, I've learned to listen to the audience. That was just a video, my first one I created. I was just didn't have a lot of time to film, and I found myself at the park, and I was going to make a juice, and I was like, why don't you just film it? And those videos started doing well for me, and so I just continued doing them. But I truly love making fresh juice and making different, kinds of it. So, yeah.
So you said all that to say you still ain't tell me where you got the juicer.
Well, the first juicer I got was a hand-me-down. Someone gave
the
me
handheld one?
Yes, it was a gift. And then that one broke, and I bought a second one that I still have from Amazon. And I get this question all the time, like, where do you get the handheld juicer from? I really don't recommend one in particular because I feel like they're not consistent. And
Right.
I hate to be like the person that recommends things to my audience that I can't be, 100 on. And so I point people in a direction. I, hope they read the comments and read the, the reviews and things like that. But yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It's a simple hand juicer. Look for stainless steel. And that's it.
So do you film everything by yourself or do you have a team at this point?
I film every single thing by myself. I do it all from, grocery shopping to recipe creation to, filming. So again, those 3.5 years that I thought I was working for free was training for me. I was filming
Right.
for other people, learning how to get good angles and learning how to, brighten the colors and things like that. So I do all my filming myself. I've had a moment where I was going to bring somebody in, and I just feel like it took the love a little bit away from me being there to create and filming and everything. But I truly love it. I do everything myself.
Someone, the Eat School is asking, what kind of software do you use to edit?
Right now, I'm using CapCut. So CapCut is an app. I think it's owned
I
by
use CapCut, and my videos ain't popping like that.
Yeah. Well, CapCut actually recently has a version that is for desktop. The desktop version, I could really taught me how to use the app. But before, I was very basic and using that. But yeah, CapCut is what I currently use right now. I filmed with a Sony. I have the same Sony A7 III for the last 4 years. To me, it's all about the lens and just using natural light and, just bringing those vibrant colors to it. And So I was talking to my niece the other day, and she's getting into, you know, filming and you know, asked me for tips. And the best tip I could give her was just go make mistakes. Like go film, pick up the camera and just film every single day. I said, go look at some of my videos from, you know, 4 years ago. Excuse my term, but they were trash. You know what I mean? Compared to what I create now. When I say trash, just not good, but they have value because it helped me see how to create the things that I want. I start listening to the audience and what they say. And so that shaped my content. So I thank everybody that's on this live, and I thank everybody that supports me, because I create the way I do because of your feedback, you know, and just from all those lessons.
So what is your most favorite thing to make? Because I am obsessed with finding the lion's mane. Like I see them, but every time I see them, I'm just like, Angela, you're not ready yet. You still doing the portobello. You ain't ready for the lion's mane.
You definitely ready for the lion's mane, and I mean that it's pretty obvious that is my favorite, you know, meat alternative. So my first 3, maybe 4 years as a vegan, I truly did not like mushrooms at all. I was very disgusted by mushrooms, and even when I went vegan, there's one place in San Diego called Down the Jeans that made like a fried oyster mushroom. That was probably the only one that I did enjoy, but the rest of them I wouldn't eat. And so I saw the documentary, Fantastic Fungi, and it's similar to me watching food choices. Like watching that documentary unlocked my brain from like these mental blocks I had about mushrooms, and just understanding that fungi is in us. It's in cheese. It's in like a lot of things that we, you know, already consume. And so I got my first mushroom kit. We got our first mushroom kit about 2.5 years ago. And we grew our first mushroom at home, and I was just so intrigued by that. I was blown away, and it happened to be lion's mane. And so I go online and I look at recipes for lion's mane, and I can only find like crab cakes is like the main thing you could find. And so I was like, why? Like, you know, why is that? And I know people use it because it has like a sea-like smell and maybe a little, you know, taste to it. But the one thing I learned from lion's mane about lion's mane is that it will absorb any flavor liquid you add to it. So it really takes on the flavor, and the texture is just incredible. And so you can do so many different things.
Is it almost like how tofu takes on the flavor that you?
I think even more than tofu. You know, sometimes I get you know, feedback. Oh, my lion's mane had a very bitter taste to it, and most likely it was because the lion's mane absorbed water while it was growing, or through the process of you know getting to that person. And so it really sucks it up. You can squeeze it like a sponge. And so, once I learned that you can add flavor to it and, you know, put it into the food processor and do all these different things with it, just started my whole journey on lion's mane. And so that was my first ebook it's all about the lion's mane. Lion's mane is the one meat replacement that inspired me to create a, you know, ebook. And so I always recommend people to try it. I know it's not accessible to many. And if it's not accessible to you in your area, this is a good sign for maybe just grow your own. I'm moving to the phase now where it's first of all, lion's mane is the easiest mushroom to grow on your own. It doesn't take much care. You just need to spray it with water each day and, you know, play around with what location you want to put it at. And you're looking at 16 to, you know, 20 days, you have your lion's mane.
So you grow your own mushrooms now?
I've been growing my mushrooms for about 2.5 years, but when I'm traveling in the RV and things like that, of course I'll buy them, you know, from local farmers market. Golden Mushrooms is one place I get it from. But yeah, lion's mane is just so incredible, and I feel like it's still not fully tapped into what the capabilities and things that you can actually do with the mushrooms.
So what are the main, like if you were starting all over, because I know over in the last couple of years you've amassed so much information. If you were starting today, what would be the main things that you would have in your kitchen? Non-negotiable.
Today, non-negotiable. Mushrooms. You know,
is lion mane the only mushroom that you like?
Oh no. I'm starting to experiment with other mushrooms. Like I just made some recipes recently with chicken of the woods, lobster mushroom, maitake's fire, shiitake's fire. So yeah, no, I love a lot of mushrooms. I put lion's mane at the top. So definitely mushrooms would be something I would have. When I started off, there was like the introduction of Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat. And those were like my clutch at that time to help me kind of figure this out. But yeah, I would definitely have, you know, mushrooms. I would have tofu, you know, very big on tofu, lentils, and cashews for sure. For sure, cashews. Like, so I do experiment with some vegan cheeses out there. There are some that I could rock with. But now I'm on the phase of replacing like all these creams that are, you know, processed from the store, or replacing the cheeses and using cashews to create that cream texture. So cashews for sure, my hand juicer for sure. And I don't know. I mean, walnuts is something that I got into recently, or in the last couple of years. So walnuts too. But yeah, those would be probably the top things I would have in my house, because those, along with spices and herbs, I can create magic with.
Okay, people are asking, like, what are your top seasonings that you like to use?
Ooh, I mean, smoked paprika all day long. I love Creole spice. I love garlic is mandatory for, you know, any recipes I'm using, or most recipes. Let's see. Yeah, that's all I could think of, but definitely smoked paprika, maybe a little cayenne pepper, salt and pepper, and garlic definitely be the main one.
Do you ever use liquid smoke?
I do, and I recently stopped using liquid smoke, not because it doesn't do the job. This is a game changer for, you know, for us as vegans. If you're able to smoke your food and, you know, add like the natural wood flavors, the cherry woods or the hickory, it is game changing. And so I've been smoking like all my foods. Like, I've been making sauces and smoking the Anaheim peppers, smoking bell peppers, smoking the garlic, smoking tofu. If you smoke tofu, it is like, really gives it that meaty flavor. So no knock on liquid smoke, but if you could smoke your own food somehow through barbecuing, or if you have a smoker at home, it is game changing on the food.
I live in New York. Where am I gonna smoke at? Where?
I know.
Where am I smoking?
Check it out. There is a home electric smoker that Ninja sells, and that was like my introduction. But there is an electric smoker that you can add these little small wood pellets to it, and then you can smoke right on your patio. I don't have a big place. Like, I live in a small apartment. You know, we spend half of our time in the apartment, the other half of the time in the RV camping. And so I have a very small place. I have a really small area that I film at, and that smoker is right in that little section right there. So I don't have a big place. 1-bedroom apartment. It might only be, I think it's only 600 square foot, if that. So I don't have a lot of space. So you don't need much to do it.
So I'm hearing RV. So that means that you're really into nature.
Oh, I mean, that's where we're at now. Check that view out.
I'm moving in right now. I'm getting my bag. Getting my bag.
So during the pandemic, my partner was like, yo, let's go. Oh, I have family members invite me to go camping. I'm like, nah, I don't do that. That's not for me. I don't camp.
I love camping.
That's dope. And so I was totally opposite. Like, I just had this mind block of, you know, it's just not for me. And so the pandemic happened, and we all trapped in the house, and we decided to rent an RV and just get lost for a couple of days. That changed my life. I went on that trip, came back, and recognized just being out there in nature, having the time to decompress, you know, getting natural vitamin, you know, D from the sun, and just listening to nature is just like very calming. And I feel like when I came back home, it reset me. And so it got very addicting. We rented a few more RVs, and our goal is actually to move in an RV. But I got a little nervous and cold feet. So I was like, let's just downgrade our apartment, get a small RV van and test the waters for a year. And if we feel we can do this, then next year, let's do this. And so as of now, it's feeling like we are going to do it.
Wow.
So it's crazy. And to me, it's all part of this vegan journey. When I went vegan, it tore down some walls.
Yeah.
And every year, more walls keep getting torn down, like camping. Like, I didn't think black people be camping like that. That's not for me, you know?
I'm mad at you. Don't you say that. We know how to camp. I can ride a horse. I know how to ski. I can camp.
No,
I can make a fire.
for sure, for sure. We definitely can't. But, you know, friends I hung around with and the
Right,
people
got
that
you.
kind of set my mentality looked down on it, didn't think it was cool, you know, rather spend time in the club, you know. And so breaking out of that mentality, I started realizing like, yo, there's so much beauty to life. There's so much that we're missing out on just by
Yeah.
having these mental blocks. And so that was a wall that tore down, and the mushrooms was a wall that tore down. So I just have these walls that just continue to tear down, and I'm realizing I'm actually enjoying life a lot more just by allowing myself to be free. It don't matter if you're black, white, it don't matter who you are. You should be able to chase and do what your soul is asking for you to do, you know.
Yes,
and so
indeed.
this journey is just so beautiful, and I'm grateful for the energy. I'm grateful for, you know, the vibes, but I'm really truly grateful for the discipline and just being able to like live the life that I'm supposed to live and not be in these guidelines, you know.
That is so, I think I'm gonna go on a tangent, but anyway, because for the last I say few weeks, I've been going on a mental journey, just a mental journey as in how I'm wanting to show up in the world, because, you know, my mother passed away from breast cancer, and that was the catalyst for me to cross over to really search and find how I wanted to show up. I didn't want to deal with the animals because I knew it was in food, But fast forward, I've been a vegan going on 7 years, and for the last month or so, I just moved into a new apartment. So, you know, I know that was the universe telling me that, you know, it's time to really, you know, sort of be still for a little bit and to really hone in and grow your space, because the gift that you were given of Vegan Pop Eats is an asset. I have been given the responsibility to do that because my goal is always to make sure that my ancestors are proud. And so I've been really, you know, I've been juicing, I've been going to the gym, I've been doing all these things because, you know, I am seeking freedom. And freedom is such a powerful word, and it's more than a mentality. It's like, I don't even think they've invented the word yet, because you don't really know what it's like to be free until you have broken down certain mindsets and certain, you know, just things that you thought how life was supposed to be and how life really is. Because I believe COVID was the catalyst. Rest in peace for everyone who passed. But I felt like that was the universe saying that, look, you've been living this way for this long period of time. I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a glimpse of what freedom looks like for what your mind is. Because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, even though the government took care of a lot of us because of what we, you know, fed into the government with us going to work and we were getting these weekly checks. But that was the one time, those years was the only time where you really did not have nothing to do but to really think about what you were trying to do, how you wanted to show up authentically. And it gave you time for the time when you were saying that, oh, I don't never have time for this. I don't have to. Businesses were burst. You know, relationships were destroyed, relationships were brought together. And when you speak of freedom, that should be the ultimate goal.
That's one way I always put it. That if you want to like sum up what veganism has done to me, it's provided me freedom. Freedom to think for myself, freedom to decide what I put in my body, freedom to do what I want to do. You gave me goosebumps talking about that because I can see your journey. I see you cooking, I see you in the kitchen, I see you working out, and it just like, it's more inspiring to me, and you're going the right direction that you should be going, chasing your heart. But that is like most incredible thing. If you could change, like I went vegan at 40, almost 40. I put my age out there. I'm 46 right now. I went vegan at that age. I had to break something I was doing for 40 years. Like eating a certain way, like that's all we knew. I lived in Chicago. I lived in the suburbs of Chicago. I lived in Palm Springs. Like I eaten all these different ways, but I've never eaten plant-based or vegan. And so it just really just like challenges you to rethink things. And so I started thinking about, okay, these got milk commercials, like, man, did they get me? Like watching these commercials and then going to school and just drinking all the milk and asking, hey, can I get your milk? Because I can be strong, have these strong bones when you can get it from other places. I played basketball. I was into sports real heavy, and I played college ball for a little bit. Majority of my life from high school to when I went vegan, I drank whey protein. I drank
Really?
every day. Yeah, whey protein with protein shakes with strawberries, bananas, you know, just the typical shake that they put the whey protein in. My point is, like, I'm thinking that that's the only way I can get protein. And then once I went vegan and I discovered, like, oh shoot, animals don't create protein, it's created by plants, and we get in a second there, I'm just like, yo, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that freedom we talking about, we free to be free thinkers and think for ourselves. Like, some of the logic things just kick in. You just like, okay, like, yeah, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, like, I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm glad you brought up the word freedom, because that's where I feel like I developed the most, is freedom and discipline.
That's one of the things that I've learned on this journey, because you spoke earlier about the clarity of things. And now with all these things that are happening, I feel that it's an awakening for people. And I feel that you've been watching the news and things of that nature. You see Kanye and Kyrie and everybody just, you know, doing the most. But I think with people that veganism is a way to the truth, because the reason why I feel that way, and it's starting to be clearer and clearer and clearer, because, you know, there's so many people fight against this lifestyle where they're just like, oh, you know, I could never, you know, how are y'all doing this? Things of that nature. But it's coming out that, okay, y'all not even supposed to be eating the stuff that y'all eating. Y'all, you know, people are paying people to intentionally keep you in this fog, because once you get clarity, and I say this all the time, and I say that especially for our community, because that's where they get our community the most, is through food. Because if you look in certain neighborhoods, like I live in Brooklyn, but if I walk outside right now, I can see the liquor store. I can see the liquor store. I can see the Chinese food space. I can see, you know, the patty place. Shout out to the patty place, because I love me a vegan patty. But I mean, and they're vegan. But I have to maneuver, because if I didn't have clarity of myself, or clarity of, you know, the journey that I'm trying to have, that would be attractive to me constantly. But because I'm learning and wanting to know the truth, it's like I don't even see it when I'm walking, because I know which direction I'm supposed to be going, because of what I am choosing to put into my body and choosing to associate with. Because I find that our people and the space, the vegan community, it's all about, you know, trying to give the truth, because our health is our biggest currency. And they intentionally don't want us to know that.
I agree. I totally agree. And it's interesting that you say that. And a lot of times I get a question about the struggle of going vegan. Like, I can never do that. I have a buddy that is on round number 2 on trying to go vegan. And he's like, man, I'm struggling. I'm you know, this is hard. And sometimes I really don't have the answers, you know, for every single person, because everyone's path is different. But the one thing I can say is that it will get easier. When I went vegan, I was an admissions counselor for Grand Canyon University. And so I was traveling a lot. And so I had no access to go to the grocery store. I had no access to go, you know, airport vibes, you know, they really don't have many health options. And so I struggled my first 4 weeks, because I just couldn't find food, you know? You know, I was starving at certain points. Well, not starving, but felt just like I wasn't getting enough food. And I remember being challenged one day. The corporation, you know how they move, where like if they want you to work more and get more production out of you, they'll bring lunch or they'll bring breakfast, you know, to you, so you can eat at the job. They're like, oh, we brought you breakfast. I'm like, I know what y'all up to. But anyway, they brought us our breakfast. And so my sin before I went vegan was bacon and cheese. Like, I would eat so much bacon. I could eat half a pack of bacon myself. Like, it was bad. Like, slam it, no problem. I fry the whole thing up, put on some, you know, bread and go to work. That was
Wonder Bread.
It probably was Wonder Bread. I didn't even care what it was. I looked for the cheapest, whatever's cheap, and bought that. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and they put the plate of bacon down, and it's piled up. It's golden, crispy. It's looking extra. And I remember sitting there, and I could see myself getting up, just like, all right, just this one time. Like, you can't start the day and starve yourself. And I saw myself doing it. And then in my mind, I was like, well, that's a mistake you made a lot in your life. Just this one time, you know, let me just try this one time. Because that one time ended up turning into, let's do it 2 times, 3 times. Anytime it got tough, just this one time. And so I remember sitting there, and I denied it, and I was going through some pain. Like, just, you know, emotions is all revved up. You know, you hungry, you hungry,
the shakes.
You know? And so the shakes, it was something was happening to me. And I went over and got some skimpy potatoes, and I think they had like some oatmeal, and that was like my breakfast. And I'm just like, God, this is incomplete. But I remember walking away and just feeling energized, empowered, and just like, yo, you got control. It's not like, you know what I mean? Yes, there's things out of our control, but you could decide what you put in your body. You could decide, you could give yourself the, you know, the ammunition and things you need. So I walk away from that anyway. That happened multiple times. And I would say at 6 weeks is where my breakthrough happened.
Right.
Where I remember walking through the grocery store, and as soon as I walked in the grocery store, I could smell the meat department, like literally from one side. And it's the same store I would walk through all the time, and I would never smell it. I couldn't smell it. And so even now when I go to, you know, Whole Foods and certain stores, like the moment I walk in, I'm like, whoop, you know?
Yeah,
and so
it's strong.
It's strong, and it didn't used to be strong. I couldn't smell it. And so just understanding that things will get better, but this discipline that you build will carry over into other things in your life. You know, it just, you end up grabbing control of your life. I'm saying that just to, you know, inspire anyone that may be, you know, struggling. And I'm not saying go cold turkey or do it like I did it. Maybe you got to keep planting that seed and just switch out a meal once a week and just continue to just like grow in your mind of like ideal of veganism. And eventually you will grow to that point where, you know, it's not a struggle no more.
Yes, indeed. That made me think about when you were saying how you would see it and walk away, because I tell people I am a comfort eater, and I know it has to do with being lazy. It does not have nothing to do with nothing else. But when I think about that and what you're saying, it was almost like confirmation, because those are the things that I, you know, struggle with as far as, you know, I'm really wanting to be that, you know, that person who abstain. And I'm not saying I'm a comfort eater where I be jumping in meat, because no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I be gravitating to the vegan junk foods and things of that nature. But you kept reiterating that you have to be disciplined on what you're putting in your body, because the results are clarity of the mind, and clarity of the mind equals freedom. Right.
And to me, it's like, and I'm not knocking you, because I eat my vegan, you know, fast food, you know, at times. But I remember when I first went vegan, one of my friends was like, I feel like one day you're going to switch over to getting more into whole foods and get more into this lifestyle of veganism. And I looked at him and I was like, all right, whatever, man. And he was right. And it's just a process. And I think why I got to this point is just education of food. Yes. Understanding why they put milk into this, why they put, you know what I mean? You know, cream into this, and finding out those replacements. And once you start realizing like, yo, I don't need, you know, this cream, I can replace it with coconut cream, or I can replace it with cashews. Like, to me, it becomes very exciting knowing like, yo, you are fueling this food with all these right nutrients, and you still are enjoying the flavor and the taste. Like, you winning, you know. And so to me, that's been like the inspiration. Is just like, all right, I've done, you know, these type of foods, like let's take it to the next level and see how we can keep creating some bomb food, but also up the nutrients down. Let's up the, you know, the health level of it until we could get to the point where we, you know, we where we want to be.
Is there anything that surprises you anymore about this space or where you're at? Or do you still have the wonder like you had when you first started?
I would say yes. And the reason why I say yes is I'm now in the experimental process of like trying different things in food. And so we made some ramen the other day, and we were just like, yo, I would love to have some like creamy ramen. And so we, you know, broke down some cashews, added some spices, herbs, and added to it. And we're just sitting there blown away like, yo, this is even better than what we thought. And so I'm very much in the phase of just still growing. And seeing the industry shift too, where, you know, I start seeing pea protein come out. Now we're starting to see black rice protein. Now we're starting to see like quinoa protein. And so I feel like the industry is shaping new sugars, date sugars. Like I've seen, you know, watermelon sugar. And so now I'm just starting to see like these new alternatives that, the industry is starting to jump on too. And so to me, it's a very exciting time. Yeah, a very exciting time.
Okay. So now I'm about to play a game with you, because this is going to be a speed round.
Uh-oh.
And you're going to tell me what you prefer.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Black rice, jasmine rice.
Black rice all day.
And why is that?
More nutrients. You know, the black color in it, you know, provides antibiotics. And then also just, I don't know, the texture of black rice to me has more of a tender, you know, vibe compared to jasmine.
What exotic fruit do you like to work with?
Ooh, I would say I haven't had enough experience with it, but soursop. Soursop is just incredible. And just like jackfruit, if you utilize jackfruit in the early stages when it's green, you can use it to, make like the dishes we make, pulled pork and those type of things, vegan pulled pork. But there's a restaurant in Oceanside called The Plot, and they made this soursop sandwich with green unripe soursop. And it was just incredible. So right now, soursop is my most favorite exotic fruit.
Okay. Which vegetable and which fruit surprised you about the taste?
Passion fruit has so much flavor that, I'm working on a passion fruit pie right now, kind of spin off my key lime pie. And key lime is just very strong. You can, add it with coconut cream and condensed coconut milk, and the key lime will control the flavor. Passion fruit has that same vibe. You can add it to something that really controls the flavor. When it comes to vegetables, I'd say onions. I didn't like onions before I was vegan.
The reds or the white?
Both. I didn't like either one, but I would say red would be my favorite. But yeah, I didn't care for onions at all before I went vegan, and now I understand how much flavor they bring to recipes. Today I'll be sharing after this live, I made some walnut ground beef. And so a lot of times I'll make the walnuts and I'll see in the comments that people are like, oh, well, how do you get rid of that, crunchy taste? And how do you get rid of the walnut flavor? And so we recently cracked the code and put it into a slow cooker with chopped onions, chopped bell peppers, a little vegan butter, let it cook for like 12, 14 hours, and them onions just absorb into the walnuts and just really uplift the flavor. So
slow cooking walnut meat?
Slow cooking. I cooked it for 14 hours last night.
In a slow cooker?
Slow cooker. It game changing. That's the one thing I was struggling with, is trying to get the, that crunchiness out of the walnuts. Even if you soak them, 24 hours, you still have that crunchiness. But if you slow cook them, they will absorb the flavor and become very soft and kind of lose the walnut taste to it as well.
What is your ingredient trifecta? Like the 3 ingredients you have to put in your food, non-negotiable. I say mushrooms.
I won't say mushrooms this time because it won't relate to everything. But garlic, pepper, salt. Garlic, pepper, and salt. Those are the 3 things I typically add to majority of my recipes.
Do you use sea salt or do you use Himalayan?
Sea salt. Right now I have sea salt. I'll use both. Right now I have sea salt right now, but I'll use both.
What is a unique ingredient that you use that is very, I guess you would say, understated? Because like I go and get all of my ingredients like TJ Maxx, because they always have some kind of crazy ingredient that I would never think of if I'm just in the regular grocery store. But then I'll see something like lemon pepper or
right.
or a truffle, sea salt, whatever.
Right. I don't know if there's a Trader Joe's around entire United States. I'm not 100% sure, but Trader Joe's.
Yes, we got Trader Joe's.
Okay. That store is inspiring. You walk in there, especially during the holidays, they'll make anything to pumpkins. They'll add pumpkin spice to anything and make something incredible. So I would say Trader Joe's and Sprouts are probably 2 of the stores that inspire me the most. We have a store in San Diego called Specialty Produce where they have all these specialty produce. And so I'll go through there and get inspired and see, special fruits that I normally don't have access to. Like I found special mushrooms like cordyceps and things like that. So yeah, Specialty Produce, another one of those stores.
Okay. What is your favorite egg replacement?
Favorite egg replacement?
Because I know that you can use flaxseed water. Because some people be like, oh, you can just throw an avocado in there. Some people say you can throw a banana up in there, but
yeah, to me, it depends on what I'm making. If I'm making something sweet, then maybe I'll add a banana, maybe an avocado. But I would say probably chickpea brine is like my go-to.
Okay. Do you use miso?
I have used miso, but I don't use it too often.
Okay.
I would say like for savory, liquidy, I would use maybe soy sauce would be something I use a lot. Harissa sauce is something that I'm starting to use a lot.
Harissa?
Yes, very spicy. It's basically red bell pepper, and red pepper blend with tomatoes and spices and herb, but it's a really good sauce too.
Okay, and the last one, if you could eat something for the rest of your life, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you could choose 3 things. So you can choose what you would eat forever for breakfast, what you would eat forever for lunch, and what you would eat forever dinner, and that's it.
So number 1 would be this sausage and biscuit that The Plot makes in Oceanside. The sausage is made out of wild rice and lentils, if I'm correct, and they smoke the maple.
Oh, wow.
every morning. I had that yesterday for brunch. For lunch, I would say lion's mane scrimps for sure. You know, in any type of way with lemon pepper, maple garlic, jerk style. There's so many different ways you can make the lion's mane scrimps.
Wow.
And then for dinner, I would say my black-eyed peas with greens is a smash. I can eat that. I made some last week, and I think we ate the leftovers for 2-3 days.
Are you going to have cornbread?
Yeah, we have cornbread for sure. We definitely have cornbread.
Gotta have cornbread.
For sure. You gotta have cornbread, but those would be my three.
And last but not least, if you could give any kind of advice, it doesn't even have to pertain to veganism, just life in general, like your motto, a mantra, something that keeps you going through the dark times and through the great times.
I would say it's, discipline and being consistent. So even though I feel like once I went vegan, I gained this discipline, it's still something I work on every single day. For example, New Year's is coming up.
Yeah.
And most of the time I have, just like everyone else, I slow down during this time, enjoy food, enjoy family, which I still want to do. But I'm pushing everything back to the first and like, let's go on the first. And so this year I decided last week that my New Year started last week. So all the things that I plan on doing New Year, we got 48 days left. Everything that I was going to plan on doing on January 1st, 2023, I'm starting now. And the reason why I'm doing that is like why wait? Like, you know what I mean? If you want to start building that discipline, do it now. So that's something I would, highly recommend. And two, consistency. But consistency, if I gave up a long time ago and was getting disappointed, like, oh man, I'm not getting no views, no one's paying attention to me, then, I just don't know where I would be right now. But I didn't care about that. I just focused on being consistent and focused on what message I wanted to provide, and the universe took care of the rest. And so I just think that if we love something and we're very passionate about it and we provide the same discipline and consistency to it day in and day out, it has to happen. It may not happen the way that we want to, you know what I mean? It may not happen when we want to, or, exactly how you visualize it, but something will come out of it. If it's building relationships, if it's networking, if it's opening up a new lane for you, and so that's the advice I would provide.
So what's next for Turnip Vegan? Like in 5 years, what would you like to have or you're working towards?
Well, to me, it's like my social media platform, I didn't take it serious until honestly the beginning of this year. Not meaning serious where it was like the relationships and what the message was. I took that serious from day one, but taking it serious as looking at it as a brand or looking at it as a business. And so I opened Turnip Vegan LLC this year with intentions on plans that I have for next year. And so, as you know, I love mushrooms. So, I'm probably, I'm working on something to do with mushrooms. So I have a few products that I plan to release early January. I finally have the direction of a cookbook that I want to provide.
Yes.
I have not felt inspired to do a cookbook for some reason. I just can't put my finger on it. I have had opportunities for deals, and I just don't feel inspired. And recently, I found the direction I want to go. And I mean, 2023, like we have, our projects without having corporate America involved. And so I see this path now. And so I plan on dropping my first physical cookbook early first quarter next year. And I'm going to 100% myself. I'm going to have, some help with the photos. I'll bring in a writer to come in, make sure my recipes are up to par. But yeah, I started last week. I already did 3 recipes. It's going to be called It's All About the Mushrooms, right?
Are you going to do a book tour?
If I can, I will, for sure. I'll definitely do a book tour. But this book is going to be different than It's All About the Lion's Mane. It's going to have everyday mushroom recipes in there. It's going to have specialty mushroom recipes. But I'm also going to provide some education on mushrooms with hope that it kind of levels the field for other people when they kind of let down that guard. I still get messages like, oh, I can't stand mushrooms. And I'm like, I understand. I agree. Like I was there at one point, but maybe these things can help, break down these walls. But that's what I'm working on. A couple of products that should drop early 2023. In 5 years, I see Turnip Vegan, you know, as a very supportive wellness brand where, you know, resources, you know, education, and also, you know, products that, you know, can help people on their journey.
Yes, indeed. I just want to say thank you. I mean, I'm proud of all the things you're doing, and I'm always proud when I see a face that looks like mine that is really doing what you came here to do, and you're doing it so well. You have, I wish you could see how many people, like, of course you can see it because you can see your following, but people really enjoy who you are. And there were messages coming up on how, you know, random people have ran up on you and met you in person, and they just love you. They just love you. And I think that's not too many people can say that. Not too many people can say that you're exactly who you show up to be. And that's amazing.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate everyone for their kind words. To me, it's just, I feel just so blessed to be where I'm at in this space, meeting incredible people, and really thank you for, you know, getting me out of my shell. This is the first live I've done, you know, personal lives, but this is the first live interview I've done probably in 2 years. I love being behind the camera and filming myself and being able to be like, go back and, you know, cut and edit something that I say wrong or do something wrong. And so you made me feel comfortable enough to come out my shell to do this live. And to me, I see the blessings behind it, because that means more of this will come out of me, and I'll do this more often. So thank you for inviting me to be on your show and taking the time to allow me to be here.
You should do a live when you're actually creating the recipe, because everybody wants to see how you're cooking all these things. Because, like, I just want to know your juice recipes, because every time I see a juice, I've been juicing here, but just the like the elderberries and all those different things, because we have open markets here. And I don't know if you've been to New York of recent, but we have open markets, and I'll see different types of exotic fruits and things with prickly things on it, and dragon fruits and all these different things. But I'm always hesitant. But every time I see your video pop up, whatever it is, I'm just like, you know what? I'm about to grab this, and I'm gonna attempt. And if it's good, I'll film it.
All blessings, and that's 100% intent, because I feel like I spent majority of my life in this little circle, trying the same fruits and the same vegetables, and I felt uncomfortable, you know, coming out of that space too. But now I'm just out here like, wow, there's so much more that we have access to, and you know, makes life fun in many ways. But also, I am working on one of the products. I am working on a tamarind and pineapple kombucha that, if all, you know, when it's done, said and done, we'll be able to ship nationwide. And so with probiotics, it's gonna have fresh juice in it at the same time. That's one thing I'm working on, sharing the you know, the juice vibes with, you know, people around the world, or around the nation.
And I also, you know, I always put in my bid for, I am a chief tasting officer. You know, it's in my bio.
I saw it on the profile. I saw it.
So, you know, I'm just, you know, I don't offer those services to everyone. But for you, I can do it.
Right. That means a case is coming your way the moment I can get it out.
I'm coming to San Diego because I really want to see what the vegan space is really about. Because for me, my goal is for Vegan Pop Eats is going to be global, but I want to hit like all the different special places, because there's so many avenues. Because I've been having this conversation with different people on how they're so surprised about the vegan space here in New York. But I tell people that, you know, each space is, you know, I guess an expert. Like, we're expert in the culinary vegan space. Like, any kind of cuisine you want up here, we got it. But when it goes towards where you're living, like San Diego and the Los Angeles, you guys are more healthier.
I don't know. Like, I was shocked at, I was blown away at Vegandale in New York. Like, just how woke everyone was when it comes to like the ingredients and what's in their food.
Yeah.
There was definitely a different vibe. You're 100% right. The vibes is way different. and each, all places have uniqueness to them. But I was just shocked by how much of the youth and how much, they were just woke towards the herbs and the nutrition that is in the food. And so New York is, I've been to a lot of vegan events, and New York was my favorite.
What did you get to eat here? Did you get to eat any of in the vegan spaces, or did you just mostly eat at Vegendale?
I mainly ate at Vegendale. I didn't get a chance to. It was literally one day. I came in and landed in New York, I think at 5 a.m. I literally slept in the parking lot at Vegendale until it opened. Went to Vegendale, went to the hotel, and in the morning I shot back home. But I plan on coming out to New York in the next month or so, and that's a goal of mine to kind of check out a lot of these vegan spots.
Well, let me know, because I can tell you where they're all at.
Oh, I'm going to hit you up, and same for you. When you come to San Diego, I'll make sure to introduce you to, the people I know and take you around the scene so you can see how our vibes is.
I got the hookup in New York.
All right, I got the hookup in San Diego, LA, West Coast a little bit, so we good.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Todd. I'm not going to call you Turnip Vegan. I'm going to call you Todd. But I just want to say thank you again. Thank you so much for even wanting to be on my space, because it's still, even though that I'm so grateful for the people who want to be in my space and to talk to me, but I still have the wonder of when I first started Vegan Pop Eats, because it's just me just trying to show how dope it is on the green side. And I've met so many dope people. A lot of them are on here now, and I'm just grateful, and I'm so thankful that our paths cross, and I know that they will cross more and more and more. And I just can't wait to see what you got in store for us.
Same, and just know your energy is contagious. It's so contagious, and it comes across the screen. And so I was very excited to be here. Thank you for sharing your energy with all of us.
Yes.
It's been a joy.
Thank you to everyone. We will see you soon. Bye. You have a great afternoon.